Hi everyone, my name's Tameka Buckley and I'm a yoga teacher and meditation teacher with Malabar. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to chat with you a little bit about the power of meditation. It's certainly been a real superpower in my own life. I went from being a really stressed out, anxious control freak who had a driving need to perpetually keep herself busy, to distract myself from anything ungratifying happening inside. I relied on food. I was a really big emotional eater. I relied on constantly doing, whether that be through work or socializing. I relied on toxic relationships. All of these pretty socially acceptable, actually, crutches in order to feel good within myself, because when I sat with myself, I actually didn't like very much what I saw inside. And I really feel that this has been one of the most beautiful things that the COVID-19 pandemic is starting to reveal to us. All of a sudden, our addiction to being busy is taken away and we're being told to stay at home, to live very simply. We're no longer able to distract ourselves from the internal experience. We're no longer as easily able to suppress what's happening inside. And all of a sudden, there's a spaciousness that's opened up, which is allowing us the opportunity to feel things that we would rather not. And so if you're having a rough time with the social isolation, with the simplified nature of your life, if you're starting to feel some anxiety, some stress, if you're starting to have some light thrown on habits or ways of being which you know do not support your evolution, this is so wonderful. And this is an opportunity for you to dive really deep into what it is in your life that is no longer relevant moving forward. This is so good. And your meditation practice is going to be the most powerful thing to support you through this. So if you think about the modern Westerner, we live pretty busy, engaged lives where every part of our life requires a degree of effort. Even when we're doing things that bring us joy, like attending a Pilates class or a bar class at Malabar, like getting a massage, chiropractor, chatting with Ali or Amanda about your well-being goals, to grocery shopping, to getting the kids ready for school, to preparing dinner for our partner and ourselves to have a special moment, to doing the Zoom calls, the meetings at home for work. All of this requires a degree of effort, whether it be something we do for ourselves or whether it be something that we're obligated to do or feel obligated to do in some way. And then, it's kind of ironic. I laugh about it sometimes because when we talk in the West about creating more balance in our lives, the tendency is to actually add more in. And it's so important to find a movement practice that brings you joy and that creates a really strong, stable, healthy physical body. It's so important to choose the foods that we nourish ourselves with in a really mindful way. It's so enriching to focus on limiting beliefs in the internal world so that we can really support ourselves in being as happy as possible. It's so wonderful to do all of that. And yet, what we're actually doing is adding more to our day-to-day to-do list in order to create balance. What we need to be doing to create balance is sure, all of these wonderful things, but we also actually need a practice that is simply about being instead of doing. Think about it. If you are a marathon runner, you don't recover from running by running more. Really think about this for a moment. A sports person, in order to recover and heal, doesn't do more physical activity, they rest. And they're actually really good at prioritizing recovery and rest. And so for us, if we want to regenerate our energy, if we want to feel lightness and joy, we need actually to be creating the space to simply be, to simply rest. And this is what a really good meditation practice will give you. We're all operating in some sort of normalized state of flight or fight. Now you can be on the extreme end of that spectrum like me, where you're experiencing anxiety attacks, where you're constantly overwhelmed and stressed, and it's impacting your work, it's impacting your dreams, it's impacting your finances, it's impacting your ability to maintain intimate relationships. Or you can be on the other end of the spectrum, where there's this constant sense that there's never enough time to get everything done, where you're standing in line waiting for your takeaway coffee and you're getting anxious because the barista is taking too long, where you're in traffic on the way somewhere and you're getting impatient or frustrated because you're not getting there as quickly as you would like. These are all signs of an overexcited nervous system. The nervous system is very similar to the digestive system, and it can be helpful to compare the two. So think about your digestive system. We eat food, the body extracts nutrients from that food, and then the digestive system will allow the waste to be eliminated via a bowel movement. This makes sense. We take the nutrients, we eliminate the waste. Good. This is good. Nervous system, exactly the same. We consume in the form of life experiences. We want to be extracting the nutrients, the lessons from those life experiences. And what we've got left over is waste, stress. We need to be releasing that stress from the system, but we do not have a way to do this anymore. Our bodies are not doing this. Part of this is due to something that's called evolutionary stress on the system. So the world has changed much more quickly than our physical nervous systems have. And part of it is to do with the way that our lifestyles are now. So think about what happens. If you eat and eat and eat and the body's extracting nutrients, good. If you're not eliminating waste, what happens? You get pretty uncomfortable. And when the time comes for you to eliminate that waste, that's a lot of shit to come out at once. And this is exactly what happens with the nervous system. We're absorbing life experiences, extracting the nutrients from those experiences, but the stress is being held in the system. You get really uncomfortable if you don't have a bowel movement for a long time. Is it any wonder our systems are in such an overexcited state by not being able to eliminate this stress? You think of a bottle of Coca-Cola, you shake it up, you've got all of this fizz on top. What happens if you don't release that fizz? It explodes. You know, this is not healthy. It bloody goes everywhere. And this is you when you snap at your partner because he's forgotten to bring the milk home. It's never about the milk. It's never about the milk. It's about this accumulation of stress in the system, and you've just exploded over something really little. What your meditation practice does is, if you think of this bottle of Coca-Cola again, what you're doing is you're undoing that lid a little bit. A little bit of gas comes out, a little bit of stress comes out, a little bit more, stress comes out. And bit by bit, every time you sit down to meditate, you're releasing this stress in a really healthy way. The two things people say the most frequently, and there's a very specific language that's used, it's very interesting to me. The two things people say most frequently once they learn to meditate. The first thing is, I feel happy for no reason. I feel happy for no reason. We rely so heavily on buying a new car, getting a promotion, getting the partner, moving apartments, buying some new shoes for our happiness. But actually, the degree of happiness that we can experience in our lives relies upon the little moments. Can you feel joyful when you're waiting for the train and the sun's on your face? Can you actually sit and enjoy a cup of tea? Or are you feeling guilty because you just heard the dishwasher finish and you think you should unload it? Can you really be present when you're having a coffee with your best friend and really connect deeply? Or are you thinking over the top of her? And worrying about what you have to do next. The degree of happiness that you feel in your life isn't about the big stuff. It's about whether you can enjoy and feel bliss in those small moments. Second thing that people say most frequently is, I feel lighter. And what they mean by this is that sense of never having enough time, that sense of being overwhelmed, that sense of heaviness at being stretched so constantly recedes. It softens. You feel lighter. My life is so different since I learnt to meditate. And whether or not you are experiencing the extreme end of stress, whether or not you simply have a sense that life could be happier. The power of meditation is that it will give you that. The power of meditation means that instead of relying on life to look a certain way in order to be happy, you're simply happy. It's pretty juicy, and I would love for you to come and learn. We will be running some meditation courses at Malabar once we're able to emerge from the beautiful cave of self-inquiry that you're all in at the moment. And I hope that you can join us. Please reach out as well. If you are at home and you're starting to, or you have at some point experienced that anxiety, that stress, if you're starting to be confronted with things that you haven't had to face in a while, please reach out and we can chat. I'd love to chat with you about it, because at the moment for a lot of us, it's all that fizz on the top of the Coca-Cola bottle coming out at once. It's a lot to process at once. When we have a meditation practice, we're allowing our system to process it bit by bit by bit, so it's not as overwhelming. But if you are feeling overwhelmed, please connect, and I hope that you can join me when I'm running some courses later in the year. Lots of love. Mwah.